everybody, and welcome to TBK Creative Social Webinar Series. I'm Andrew Schiestel, the Chief of WOW Projects at TBK Creative. We're a national award-winning web design and social media marketing agency based in Toronto and London, Canada. I want to share with everybody the topic today. This is really cool. It's the 3 secrets to creating Canada's happiest company and exploding in growth while doing it. I have a guest expert who joins me. It's a personal friend of mine. It's someone I respect a lot in business and in life, Tony Guerrieri, the CEO at Roma Molding. Tony's waiting to dive into this conversation with me, and I'm excited to have him here. Before I have him hop on the call, though, I want to give you a little background on who Roma Molding is. Roma Molding is a 29-year-old Toronto-based company. They're one of the world's largest picture framing manufacturers. They have 4 offices in Canada and the US. They employ over 150 staff. They've managed to stay a private company, which is phenomenal. And they have a dealer network, and I'm very impressed by this. They successfully manage a dealer network of over 6,000 independent picture framing companies. And they've really established great partnerships throughout the world. With all that ado, I'm delighted to have Tony on the call. Whenever this guy hops on a phone call, or just enters a room, you know, there's an experience that really gets created, and I'm really excited for what's going to get created over the next hour. Welcome to the call, Tony.
Hey, good morning, Andrew. Good afternoon, actually.
Yeah, hey, buddy. Tony, before we dive into some of the what we want to create for everybody in terms of some of your great content, can I share with everybody how you and I met?
Absolutely. I think that'd be a great opening segue for sure.
Yeah. And if it didn't go like this, chime in and tell me how it went for you. But this is exactly what I remember, and I think it's a prudent context to create for everybody for the type of guy that you are. I get a phone call. Everybody from my business partner, Melissa McInerney, here at TBK Creative, one of our great creative director here at the company, and I'm actually on the golf course, and Melissa says to me, I got a call from this Tony guy, and he's really excited, and he's talking about a future that he's creating, and he needs a website for his company. Can you call him right now? and I said, Mel, no, I'm on the golf course. Tell him I'll call him back. And she said, no, he's really adamant about this. He's persistent. He's telling me that I need to give him a call. There's big plans in the works, and there's a future that he's creating. I got back to my office at 7 in the evening, past hours, and something told me that I should actually give Tony a call. And I still at the time didn't really know who he was. Mel didn't tell me what the company was, but it was really important. I left a message for you, Tony, as you remember, and then in your working ethic style, you gave me a call back on Saturday afternoon. Yeah. and you told me about what you and your great team was up to in the world. And as you know, I got really inspired by that, and we kept the conversation going. It eventually turned into a great new partnership with our agency and your company, and we're really creating some really big things in the web space together, which I'm very proud of, and I'm really excited about, and my entire team is. But the really funny thing, and that happened on the first call, as you said to me, Andrew, I don't know how we met, but we're friends on Facebook. And I really like your culture because I see your posts all the time, and you seem like a great person. Your cultures would jive, and so I want to take this conversation further. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, it was actually exactly like that, and I remember sharing with you that our vision of what our company was, and I said we weren't normal.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to be easy on you,
yeah.
And we're going to probably test the limits that you potentially know, and
yeah.
far supersede anything you've potentially done in your career to date. Are you interested?
Yeah.
And it kind of went like that, and I on that call you lit up, and I knew at that moment you were up for the challenge.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why you wanted to form the partnership with us is there obviously is a synergy in culture. That's something that as an agency, as a team, we don't always know how things are going to go, but we're willing to really dive in and work our butt off to accomplish that unknown. And that's something that really excites me. I know it's something that really excites you, and I think it's a really great segue into some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of changes right now in the business world, and I think it's more important than ever that businesses are really open to trying things in new and different ways. So I think that's really important, and that's something that excited me about working with your company. So let's go back for a minute, Tony, for everybody. Let's maybe, if you want to start at this point, talk about a little bit more about Roma Molding. You can even start with some of the basics so everyone understands your basics behind what product you sell to what marketplace. Maybe start there. But then I really want you to share with everybody the story of what Roma Molding was going through, and then what needed to change and what did change a few years ago.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's a great start. And I'll make it very concise so we can all get it. For those of you who don't know who we are, we're a picture frame manufacturing company. We distribute to, like Andrew said, 6,000 frame shops across the country, Canada and U.S., and various countries like Australia and Singapore. We've done that through a great dealer network of incredible human beings who have been loyal to us since day one, and that's really been a very important, step in our growth. The company is owned and operated by a family business, so it happens to be my father and my uncle who started the company back in the early days. And it kind of wasn't that early, but that was kind of the mentality. It started in 1984 by two, immigrants from Italy who came over and wanted to have a better, give something better to their children that they never had the possibility to create in Italy. And coming over, they created a company and started distributing very locally in Ontario. And they actually bought from our competitors who are competitors today. So it's actually a remarkable story. Worked their way up and, built a great network of customers emerging into the U.S. market and really growing the business and driving the sales. Really one brick and mortar at a time, and really forging great partnerships and relationships one step at a time. But if you can recall, back in the early days, words like culture never existed, or they existed but not into the context that we use it today. And culture at that point meant, what language you spoke, or what flag you bared, or what type of foods you ate. But today, culture is very different, and our fathers built this business based on what they knew with very little education, and both didn't have any post-secondary education, much like many stories are today. And then throughout the ages, my business partner today, Joseph Talata, who is our COO of the company, he joined the company 5 years before I did, as second generation in the company, with our father still on board. And then 5 years later, I jumped on board once I completed university. At that point, we were, two young guys, and who were, kind of, it was just entrenched. Once you're done university, come into the family business and kind of do as I say, and everything will kind of be okay. And we did that for a better part of, or I did it for a better part of 12 years. Joey did a little longer, but it came to one point, Andrew, where the strategies that they adopted, some 15 years ago, weren't working anymore, and we've seen a complete shift in that. And so what do? When something doesn't work, you try harder. But we kept trying the same things and expecting for different results, and that was catastrophic. And if you can see the faces of these workers, now I say Roman in the early days, now this is just an illustration of the type of sentiment that people felt around here. It was a job. It was a place you came, you earned your income, and you went home.
Right.
There's nothing more than that.
Right.
And so I remember, starting to to read and starting to, interact and starting to look at different things, and and my life started getting challenging, and I started questioning my own life, and I said to myself, is this what I want for the rest of my life? And I remember sitting back in my chair and saying, this can't be it. Work can't hurt all the time. Uh, it can't be a place that is a battlefield. I'm not enrolled in that conversation. That's not something I aspire to, and I sure am not, going to spend another 20 years of my life doing it this way. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people felt that way. And what I did at that point, Andrew, was I actually checked out of my own family business.
Mm.
And what that means is I actually walked down to my father's office one day when I had it, and I said, yeah, it's I'm done. I'm done here, and I love you guys. I love every single human being here, but I just can't do it anymore. I'm not happy. It's affecting my personal life. It's affecting everything around me. And I spoke to my father very candidly, and I said, Dad, this can't be life. And from a hard immigrant worker, this is all he knew. So
Yeah, that was life.
that was life.
Yeah.
Work has to hurt.
Yeah.
If you want to get where you need to get to, it's got to
Yeah.
be hard. And those are the conversations of our parents.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, I actually went to him and I said, I've been reading up on different companies and they're having a lot of fun. Why aren't we?
Right.
And we went into an inquiry around what that meant, and I said, here's the thing. I'd love to stay on board, but I can't stay on board in the current condition. If you'd like, I could stay on board, but we have to change the culture around here. And he looked at me, what do you mean the culture? I said, well, let me take you through this inquiry, this exploration around different companies. And at that point,
Wow.
he took me up on the offer and said, okay, I'm willing to learn a little bit. Tell me what's there. And so, over several discussions and several days, believe me, it was very difficult. And one day we were heading to Las Vegas, and I said, we need to go to this company called Zappos.com. And they're an online shoe store that sells shoes all across the world. He said, what do you mean? People buy shoes online? And I said, yeah. Okay. He said, okay, we're there anyways. Let's go check it out. So we went to Zappos.com, and if anybody knows about their culture, driven by a great man called Tony Hsieh, you'll quickly notice they are an internet marvel. They do 1.2 million in in um, in
Billion.
1.2 billion
With big B.
yeah, with a big B.
Yeah.
1.2 billion in annual revenue.
Yeah.
So we went there, and the culture was over the top. People high-fiving you. You walk in, they offer you a Red Bull, a water, a beer, a coffee. I mean, it was just freedom. And quickly walking through, you'll see streamers and bowling pins, but you also seen people really happy. All I seen was smiles. So
Wow.
contrary to this picture that we see here in the early days, people were smiling and happy and high-fiving.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I looked at my father and said, "This is it. This is what we need. This is what we need. We got great people. We just got to make them happy."
Hmm. Tony, did your father right away see it, or did that take some time? Was there a lot of conversations before? Because I'm just picturing someone who built up a company over 29 years, and then their son comes in and says everything you've done doesn't work anymore. So we want to now do a 180. Did you get any pushback from your father?
That's a great question. And the short answer is absolutely. That's the short answer.
Yeah.
So kind of what happened when I took him to Zappos and I turned to him and said, "This is what we need." He said, "Okay, well, if you're gonna do all this and all these streamers and all this party, I'm out of here, man. I that's so foreign to me. Yeah, no, I just do it. I'll step aside."
Yeah.
And once the shock wore off and we went through the tour and we heard that people are happy and producing extraordinary results, because my father's a smart man, and or else he wouldn't have built the company he built. And he quickly seen that something had to change, and this might be it. He seen my passion, that I was so determined for this, and gave me the opportunity.
Great. So now, since then, what are what are some of the results that you can see and report from a more of a metric sense, since this big culture shift that you want to call it, or this big paradigm shift within the company? What has actually been some of the results that you're seeing and can report on?
Well, let me tell you, some of the results are very tangible and very real. I would say some of the results, we look at life differently now through a different set of eyeballs, I would say. And here, I'll take you through the next slide, and we actually look at things called success, and we challenge each other, and we're always up to upping the game and delivering what we call wow, a wow experience or wow service.
Great.
And
Yep.
and we're really clear, Andrew. We're really clear that the only thing you have in your company is your brand, your amazing people, and your dynamic culture.
Mm.
Those are things that no one can take away from any company out there, whether you're Starbucks or you're Apple or you're Google. No one can copy those three things. But we are really clear that everything else, if done correctly, will be copied. We're like crystal clear on that.
Great. Yep.
And so what we've done is we've really focused on our brand, our people, and our culture. And although still delivering great product. And so some of the tangible results have been, since 2008, our company has had double-digit declines in sales. So you can imagine how quickly that amounts to an erosion of revenue, an erosion of goals and hitting goals and things of that nature. Well, today, what the story's been is we're actually operating at about a 12.5% increase this year.
Mm.
But if you look at the swing from year over year, if we were down 15 to 20% last year, well, that's actually close to a 30% swing in one complete year, which is anything but easy, but totally possible if you align your brand, your people, and your culture.
Mm-hmm.
Some other tangible results have been, our error rate has gone down 25% on average in every department. We have a 99% fulfillment rate in our inventory levels. Our retention rate is through the roof. One of the biggest challenges any CEO or any HR department has is attaining and attracting great people. I got to say, we're blessed with any ad that we put out or anything of the matter. Our inboxes are flooded with incredible human beings, with people that believe in what we believe, want to challenge the status quo, and people that want to really be a part of something greater. And in years past, it wouldn't be unusual to spend upwards of $30,000 to $50,000 in recruitment fees, depending on the various levels of what you're looking for in your company. To date, I'm really proud of our team through the various programs we put in place. We've used $0 to recruit to our team, and if that's not real dollars, I don't know what is. And
Right.
what we do with that is we just continue to reinvest in our people to ensure that they're super happy. And I don't know about you, but happy people is who I want to be around all day.
Great. And so can you maybe for everybody talk about just quickly the timeline? So when did you then start this cultural shift? I just want to get a sense of, was this a 5-year project for everybody? Was this a 2-year?
Um,
How far are you into this cultural paradigm shift right now?
this happened in 2011, and it was actually March 1st of 2011. So if you fast forward March 1st to 2011, you'll see it's anywhere from 16 to, I would say, 19 months. So it's been a relatively short period of time that we've actually, shifted. We've really, when you think of it, when you picture it, we've really changed course, changed direction. And with every day that we push forward, it just propels quicker and quicker and quicker. And some of the neat things that are happening are incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the actual actions now. We talk about culture
and that's it's a very broad term. Specific things that at least I can speak to, things that I see, and I think it's neat because I'm on the outside of your company in that respect. When I was at your office, something that I saw that was markedly different than a lot of businesses that we go into every day is you're in the middle right now of tearing down office walls. So that's one thing that's really neat. So everybody, when you walk into Roma Molding, beautiful office in north of Toronto in Woodbridge, Ontario, we walk up some steps and you come into this big administrative area, and there's actually no silos between the departments anymore. It's just one wide open space that's this massively wide, somewhat of a corridor, and there's little kiosks, desks. Probably, Tony, you'll be able to specify, but probably over 100 desks there, and it just goes for a couple hundred yards. And then as you're kind of walking through, there's life, there's energy, and there's distinction with every department. So you've actually separated the department in almost having their own brand, and it's my understanding that you've allowed them to create really that unique sub-brand that represents their culture. Our TBK creative team has been working at your office, and that was something different. Definitely, when starting the relationship with you as a vendor partner, you invited us to actually come and start working from your office, which I think is really awesome, and we've been having a great time with that. I didn't get the chance to be there for a couple days. I know some of my great team members, Melissa was there and Trevor was there, and they said it was so different and energizing. There's Nerf gun wars that actually happens. You actually, I guess, every team member has their own Nerf gun, and it's full on warfare in between the different departments at any given time of the day, which is so cool and so different. What other stuff is going on there, Tony, that you think is really creating this environment for fun?
What some of the things that we've been doing is really, by the way, our suggestions from our team, suggestions from the people, because ask them. They're the ones in the culture, and ask them what they want. And believe me, they'll wow you when they're asked. Some of the things we've been doing is one initiative we took on is removing every office in our entire workspace. So including myself, I'm in between our insanely great marketing team and our humanitarians IT department. Yeah. And it's me and Gina Westernacker Schneider, my assistant, and kind of in the middle. And oftentimes it's really great. And I'm often caught in between Nerf wars between the two departments and whatever the case may be. But one of the initiatives is to tear down walls and remove offices, because we believe walls contain and confine. And when you have confinement, there's no sharing. And when you have no sharing, well, there's no energy transfer. And that just leads to, everything but happiness, we would like to say. Some of the other things we've done is we really try to infuse fun. We really take fun seriously. So in light of fun, we had everybody, you're able to name your own department and decorate your department however you like. And so finance, of course, would decorate it with the many dollars. So there's American dollars and Canadian dollars flying around. Our inventory department, they're called the back order blasters, and that's because we have no back orders. Our fulfillment rate is 99%. Yeah, and that's really fun. And they're the real ones that are really applauding their own success, which is great. And one of the most recent initiatives is we are foregoing any boardrooms. We don't like that word. What we've called our rooms are huddle rooms. Since the absence of offices, you do from time to time still need a space where you can either go on a conference call or meet your team or things like that. So we've created currently two huddle rooms. We've created two huddle rooms, and we actually did a 48-hour challenge whereby we allow anybody who's interested to decorate the two rooms. We made a contest, of course. We love contests. Gave $95 as a budget, and you can only use 2 hours a day for 2 days. although you're allowed to use after hours. So the building and the team building, the camaraderie that we built and the rivalry has been incredible. And just to give you a depiction of that, um, that's actually one of our huddle rooms we get to work in.
Mm.
So you're able to see a really great space. This is one of the room, and our creative team came up with some creativity around using our cardboard to make trees and painting and a few various other things in our office here. And I tell you, it's remarkable when you bring vendors in or clients and you have meetings in there. Suddenly, I don't know, the mood, the energy, the whole aura of the meeting is around happiness versus, okay, what do we need to do? Why do we need to do it? And how are you going to make it cheaper? There's a sense of how can I help? I love being part of this. So those are a few of the things that we've managed to do, in the short time or up to date right now.
Mm. Some business owners listening in or executives, Tony, might be looking at this, and they might be really inspired by some of the cool things that you could do within a company. But some might be saying, this to me looks like it could get out of control real fast, and I have a business here to run, and I have targets that I have to make sure my employees are hitting. So what do you say to that? How do you still run a profitable organization that's still driven towards some accountability and making sure that a good job is well done?
Yeah, that's very important, and I'm sure it's on the mind of many leaders. And whether you're a CEO or you're a leader of a marketing department or IT department, we still, how do you get your job done if you're in a jungle room or if you're having a Nerf war and
we're in a Nerf gun war, right? Yeah.
Or assault, right? Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. One thing. This is a strategy that if you adopt takes time. And if you're looking for a 3-month strategy, how do I, jump sales? It's not the strategy for you. Culture is something you got to believe inside of you, and it's a long-term strategy. It's something that will be built upon and must grow. It's not something that's immediate. So when we took on culture some 18, 19 months ago, we also took on something we really live by, and that's trust. And it's something that hangs on our walls everywhere. You need to trust your partners. You need to trust your team. You need to trust yourself. And we hold ourselves to the highest level of accountability here at our company. An example would be, we had a 3-page dress code policy, and I'm sure many companies have them. You can't have your jeans can't be ripped, or your whatever the case may be. Our dress code policy is one line, and it states like this: be real, be yourself, and represent the brand well. That's our dress code policy. And believe it or not, people, if aligned with your culture, will step up to the plate. We have no dress code now, but people still, feel compelled to dress up, and depending on their meetings, they'll do what they need to do to feel great and give people the freedom to be themselves. And believe me, they'll wow you as well. But more importantly, and I'm going to jump here, like any culture, there's a set of rules, there's a set of guidelines, there's a set of values that must be put in place. No different than, if Andrew, you get in the car today, you're able to go through a red light if you'd like. However, there are consequences to going through a red light. You potentially can kill somebody. You might kill yourself, and you might get yourself in jail. Things like that, or get your license taken away. So what we did here is we asked everybody, and this is really the foundation, the bedrock of what our culture drives itself on. These are our principles, our core values, something we deeply, deeply believe in. And we call them the 10 family core values. So this is an exercise we did, which took over 4 to 5 months. And this is kind of our creed. This is what we live by. This is what we hire. This is what we fire by. And now this is even what we use to, reward our employees and talk to them as far as, are you delivering wow service? Are you being different, having fun, and delivering happiness? And using this as a gauge, this was created by the people for the people. This is not something a CEO in some room can create himself or herself. This is something developed entirely through through the people, and it's over a prolonged period of time. So if someone today is feeling, well, I should say be humble, then in 6 months from now, humble's not important to them. We really take the time and commitment to create these.
Right.
But once created, and by the way, these core values are unique to Roma. No one else will have the exact same core values because this is what's important in our culture. Maybe other cultures, it's you know, something different. Maybe learning and pursuing growth and development is not as important as doing more with less, or whatever the case may be.
Tony, what's the exercise then? Can you recommend to any executives listening in what is the actual exercise that they can go through with their company, with their team, to draw out the real core values versus just copying what you have here on the piece of paper?
Sure. And that's a good question. We're actually in the midst, we got this great website company. You might know them, TBK. Once our website company is up and running with our website, which is going to be wow, by the way, there'll be a whole section on culture, and we want to share with other companies exactly how we did it because we're committed to changing this world to a happier place. So it's not up yet, so I'll share it with you now. What we did as a company is, whether it's through email or whether it's a line employee who doesn't have access to email, we've given everybody an opportunity to tell us what are your values in life. What do you value? Some people valued trust. Some people valued loyalty. Some people valued teamwork and family and passion and to be driven. And so imagine, I mean, we had over 157 different different words that described what their values were.
Wow.
And that happened once, and we gave a timeline and a deadline, and it was to be immediately emailed to myself, not to be copied to anybody else, so that it was very anonymous. I wasn't interested in who said what. I was more interested in what was being said. And as you can imagine, if you have 150 or so employees, a lot of people will say, deliver great communication. So you might get that 5 times, but the fact of the matter is you accumulate those, and so we had 157 of them. We did that exercise for 3 different times. Probably we staggered them within a month and a half to 2 months.
Okay.
And we asked the same question. And oftentimes we got different values, which was great. And so we compiled everything, and as a small committee, as a small team, we kind of codified what all those 157 meant. Because there's 5 different ways to say communicate, right? We should talk to each other, or we should, there's many different ways, but in the end, it's communication. So from there, then we came up with what we felt was a best representation of what the core values were as a body, as a complete group. And then we emailed these out to the team. And asked for their feedback and asked them, do these represent who you are? And we had small tweaks here and there. And we were really compassionate in learning what their values are. And it was until we were satisfied and that the people were satisfied with the core values that we actually determined them to be core values, meaning the core of what we believe to be the fundamental building blocks of our company and what was going to get us to the next level.
Now, how do you handle then when an employee is operating inconsistent with those core? Do you have any type of disciplinary method in the company anymore? How do you manage that side of things when yourself or other employees are just not operating consistent with core values?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's often a hard topic, but I'm going to be as transparent as possible because I'm committed to happiness in the workplace and people caring and success. Inheriting a 28-year-old company, it comes with some baggage, and it comes with various different people who you, for all intents and purposes, or myself, have not hired. And they were hired based on a different set of core values. There weren't any. Can you
Yeah.
do the, it was kind of, can you do the job? Yeah. Can you start Monday? Yep. Okay, great. You're hired.
Yeah.
And many companies, depending on, now I'm being exaggerating a bit, but many companies, depending on where you are, you're really compelled to, oh my God, this person's so great. They have the skill. They have, they have the know-how. Wow, we'd get so far ahead. But do they have the culture?
Mm.
So what we did as a team and as leaders is we looked at who on your team is the best representation of the core values and who isn't.
Yeah.
And let's work with our team. Let's share where they're at. And Andrew, there's going to be some people who believe in what you believe, and then there's going to be some who just aren't enrolled in a culture-based company. Remember, this is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really sympathetic to both. If you want to be on board, awesome. Let's have some fun. And if you're not, as leaders, we have to really be vigilant to who's in our team, because having the wrong player, if you give the analogy of a hockey team, if you have the wrong player on the team, it could quickly bring down the whole bunch.
Mm.
And some of which we had really great coaching sessions and are making huge headway even today. From 16 to 18 months ago, wow, I've seen a true transformation. And for others, they just haven't been able to grasp it. And two things have happened. Some have left on their own accord, and some we really coach and mentor and have them look at, maybe there's something else out there that better suits you, which will bring you happiness, because you've made it clear this isn't.
Yeah. And what I'm really hearing, you're saying, Tony, is that you and your team just knows at a fundamental level, if your company, if Roma Molding is going to grow and fulfill on its commitments, these core values are really important at a fundamental level. And so the people within the company need to really own those values as well. It needs to be them. It needs to be in their DNA. And when all that can come together, there's cohesion within the entire company. And that is what I'm hearing, Tony, and what you're saying is what is really driving then the growth and the prosperity and the abundance for the company and people involved.
Absolutely. This is as important as a skill. If you have a great skill set, if we're looking for somebody with a great skill set but you don't have culture,
yeah,
you're actually not joining the team. And it's simply because we have something so special, so unique. We have incredible human beings who, despite all odds, defy what the status quo puts in front of them, who make the impossible possible. And us as leaders, we really got to be wary of who we bring in, because it can disrupt that creativity, that happiness, that drive and passion. And so we're really going to be picky. That's the common thread that we have in this company. We're really picky who we play with. So if you want to kind of play Nerf war with us, you really have to believe what we believe, and if you do, then stand back, because the progress and the happiness is just in abundance.
And very consistent too with the famous book, probably almost everyone on the call has read before, Good to Great, with Jim Collins. And one of the first things he said that he found consistent with all great companies is that at some point, not necessarily was always like this, but at some point the company did the work to get the right people on the bus. And it sounds like that's one of the transformations that Roma Molding has gone through in the last couple of years.
You're absolutely right. And I'll just make this point because it's very important. In our 40 minutes or so we've had our conversation, I didn't speak about our product once. Although we love and we're insanely great at creating great products, it's really about the people.
Absolutely. And how many team members do you have listening into this call right now, Tony?
Well, I know we have a fan base in a room downstairs. It's a great room, and I know we have about 20 to 25 people who are tuning in, and they're amazing supporters. And for the ones that wish they could be in that room and have commitments, whether they're on a call center, I know they're all behind us.
Yeah. So I really acknowledge all the Roma team members listening in right now. You guys completely rock, and that's so cool. I can actually picture that. I wish we could actually like have a camera go there and we could hear the roar for a minute. I feel like we're at like a hockey game or something all of a sudden. They're like, "Ah!" But unfortunately, this is just a webinar. Sorry, guys. Why do you think then, like you're talking about culture, you're talking about core values, and TBK Creative works with a lot of medium-sized organizations, and we don't hear that get spoken about often at all in the work that we do with different businesses in a lot of different industries. So it's something I just know at here in Canada. I'm sure it's the same way in the U.S. Doesn't get spoken about too often. Why do you think that is, Tony? And what do you think stopping organizations from doing more work in this area of corporate culture and creating the right values and working with team members to make sure the right people are on the bus and working with them to make sure that they've adopted those core values? What do you think stopping organizations from doing this work?
Well, here's the thing. If someone would have said company culture 10 years ago,
Yeah.
it would be really foreign. If you said company culture 5 years ago, you'd probably get, I heard something along that line. And, the monster companies were doing that, the Googles, the Facebooks. They had started to develop that. You had seen that in some of the ads. You ask company culture today, it's starting to become prevalent, and there's speakers that now are starting to speak on the importance of culture. But, 2012 actually marks a shift in in business, and it's really
Mm.
a shift in the mindset of people. And I'm really cautious of that. I'm really aware of that. And I think what stops people from adopting culture is because it's different. It's
Mm.
it's a completely different strategy. You
Mhm.
actually have to use the word trust, and you actually have to mean it, because when you take on culture, you're actually at the highest level of transparency. Again, I have no doors on an office. I don't lock my office. I don't, my computer's open and for everybody to see. You really have to be it, and you have to embody it, and there's a lot of vulnerability there. And I know for some leaders, especially some of the older leaders out there, that that never had to happen before, and it was okay. You'd still produce results. So I'm really sympathetic that that change um, is something that's very different. It's very different, and looks completely different. We live in a world where we try to hide everything. I meet people and say, well, I don't have Facebook, I'm a teacher. Or I don't have Facebook, I work with the police. I chuckle sometimes. I say, unless you're FBI or CSIS or some spy agency, we're all just people. We might have different roles in society, but we're just people. And we're all out for the same cause, to have happiness in our lives and to spread that. Let's just be open and transparent and imagine a world we can create. So it's a whole mindset. And universities and colleges are still teaching the old way of how to do things.
Yeah, and that's a great segue. I asked you, Tony, a week ago when we were chatting about creating this great webinar, and I said, what are the secrets, Tony? What causes culture? What causes happiness? What causes growth? And you said back to me, I think it's three things, Andrew, and you've already spoken well about the first one. It's trust. Trusting myself, trusting others, and you've just created a great segue into the second one. And I'll let you speak about that, transparency and communication. So you want to emphasize that a little more for everybody?
Yeah, for sure. We just seen it last night. We had the presidential debate there, the U.S. presidential debate, and you see two individuals up there, but you really don't know who Barack Obama really is, or Mitt Romney, or whatever the case may be. As a leader, if you want to lead a congregation, if you want people to run with you, you got to tell them who you are, and you got to really care about people. You got to be transparent in doing that, and you have to hold yourself to a higher level of accountability and a higher level of communication. Um, it's just so important. Some of the people I look up to in my life embody transparency and communication. they over communicate, and they're really clear on their conviction, and all of their actions, whether it be through Facebook or Twitter or any social media component, all align. You can't be one way at work and one way at home. That's not being transparent. That's being phony. So when leaders, and for all the leaders out there, believe me, if you up the game in communication and you show people this is actually who I am. I wear T-shirts like you, and I mow the lawn, and yes, I eat in the lunchroom just like you do. Because I think for a lot of leaders, the way I look at leadership is I'm kind of like a right winger on a hockey team, but there's a centerman and there's a midfield and there's a goalie, and without everybody, success is not possible. And when you do lead through transparency and communication, what happens is there's no gossip. People can't talk about anything because they know everything. And, through that, it's just that in itself leads to happiness. And our team members got to feel that they know everything that's going on, and there's no hidden agenda, and that there's security with themselves, and that they feel really great every day.
I really get that. I get a lot of questions all the time. Andrew, how should I use Facebook personally? So it's sort of on the personal end. Sure. And you had mentioned social media there for a minute, and you see people using it a plethora of different ways. Some people use it for just strictly personal, like they have like the personal life, and if they have any business contact, they would definitely not be connected to them on Facebook, because that would broach the personal line. Then you see other people on Facebook and they use it strictly for business. You might see some of your business colleagues, if you're listening in, use Facebook like that. Those are the type of people that they only post blog articles. It's like blog article after blog article after blog article. And then there's I think people like you and I, Tony, who use Facebook just to be ourselves. We share our life as open and transparent as we can, and with that comes business, and with that comes personal. And I think that's really cool, because I think that's the only reason you and I ever connected in the first place. Over the last couple of years, I think what you and I, first of all, for those listening, how Tony and I actually met was I added Tony on Facebook because we had about 100 mutual friends, and I didn't actually know Tony. I didn't know him at all, but I liked his 100 mutual friends. I respected them. They were people that stood for their own greatness and the greatness of others, and therefore I figured Tony would be a good guy as well. And thinking back, Tony, I think the things that you and I had connected with the most had nothing to do with the fact that TBK Creative builds great websites and Roma Molding builds great frames. I don't remember liking each other's posts around that at all. What I remember occasionally is the fact that we would post things that were more inspiring and stood for human greatness, and we would actually engage more at that level. So I think that's really, really neat. And it's being, to speak into Tony, your point about the fact that you have one life, and why not, if you're going to use social media, just use it like that. The other thing that I noticed about your company, and I would love for you to share a little bit more about this, but you have I believe it's in every quarter your all hands meeting, Tony?
Yeah.
Every 4 months.
It's every quarter. Yeah, we do 4 a year. And yeah, do you want me to get into that?
I want to use an example. I want to share one piece about that, but then I'd like for you, Tony, if you could share why you guys do it and what you feel Roma Molding is taking from that.
Great, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but basically, Tony and his great team holds frequent meetings that are actually webcasted out. So they host an event, and they invite everybody to it. They invite their vendor partners, they invite their customers, they invite their competition to this all hands meeting, and it's basically them talking about the things that are happening at Roma Molding, and they actually stream it live on Facebook, and that's where I got the opportunity to see the all hands meeting. And one thing stood out, to speak into your point here, Tony, I thought a really long roundabout way to come back to your point about transparency, is that what I was really impressed with was you and your great team members are actually talking about goals that you're setting for your departments in front of hundreds or thousands of people. And what's really great about that and scary about that is Well, what's great about that is there's probably more motivation now to actually fulfill on the goal. And what's scary about that is you really don't want to have to fail at the goal and have to go up at the next all hands meeting in 3 or 4 months and actually say, hey guys, I didn't achieve that goal. And I think that speaks into transparency really well. So if you want to speak more about that, Tony, feel free.
Yeah, talking about transparency communication, I don't think there's another avenue that we use to over communicate and show how transparent of a company we are. We actually close down our company 4 times a year for this meeting. It started out to be a 45-minute meeting, and now we're at an hour and 45 minutes for the meeting. And really what this meeting is a meeting where every warehouse and every office we own and operate actually congregates, whether you're around the screen or whether you're live here in Toronto, around our team, and we put on a presentation. It's actually an amazing show, which we show everything of what's happening in the company, whether it be progress updates on new hires, or we always try to give a tip for all leaders out there of becoming even greater leaders, and tips on happiness, and tips on how to fulfill on goals and things like that. We always try to inspire and learn. And then it just goes into various team areas, and we talk whether we have new IT initiatives, or whether we're coming out with our new super duper website for January, or whatever the case may be. The greatest thing that I can say, well, before I say that, it's just overwhelmingly, I'm so humbled when I see our team go up there and tell the world what their goals are. Like the leadership that they possess, the courage that they possess to go out there, whether they know they can do it or not, are putting it out there in the world and saying, I'm committing to this no matter what, and I'm going to do everything in my power to hit it. Now, is everybody going to hit everything? Probably not. But I'll tell you, we're all going to help each other in one way, shape, or form, whether it's John's goals or Don's goals or Joanne's goals. We're all going to help each other to do everything in our power to ensure everybody's hitting those goals. And, to sit back and have our customers log on, remember we have 6,000 dealers, and to have them log on and really get, wow, there's people in an office somewhere in the U.S. or Canada actually making my frame for my house or my mirror, and getting to see who they are is really rewarding. And not to mention the energy that day and the day after is over the top. There's high fives, there's hugs and kisses, and there's sense of unity, and I'm telling you, it's over the scale of any happiness I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. If really quickly, if anyone listening wants to get in on the next one, how would they do that, Tony?
Well, we stream it live through our Facebook link. So Roma Molding Facebook, and you'll see there's actually 56 days till our next all hands meeting.
Great.
Go team. And if you want to see any prior all hands meetings, you just go on YouTube or Google and press Roma Molding all hands meeting videos, and they're all out there for everybody to watch and see, and feel free to look at them.
Great. So it's facebook.com/Roma Molding. Now, can you dive right into progress then as for this last piece, Tony?
Sure.
Very curious to what you mean by that.
Yeah, people think that happiness comes from achieving something. Well, when I get that Ferrari, I'm going to be so happy. Or when I get that, if I could just lose that 2 more pounds, I'll really be happy. What people really don't realize, it's in the getting to that car or to that goal or to that whatever aspires you is what the happiness is. I was working with various team members here in our company, and we had several goals in marketing, and it was really, the fun was really progressing around how do we achieve our goal. And when I use progress as a stepping stone for happiness, when you feel like you're growing, when you feel like you've made an impact and you're a better person than you were yesterday, really I think that's the high order bit for happiness. That feeling that you get that I accomplished that, or wow, I did better than I did last year, and continuously growing. Because I think life is not like hitting a summit of Mount Everest. I don't think there's a peak to progress. I don't think there's a peak to ultimate euphoria or happiness. I think life just allows us to be happy every day. If we could just step back and look at that, the progress of getting there is really the happiness in itself.
Really great way to end the call. I couldn't agree with you more. It's not, like as you said, it's not just having something, but it's knowing that you're actually making ground. And I know in my life when I can really accomplish something personally that's bigger for me in terms of my own goals than what I have in the past, it just in that moment feels so good. And you're right, it's not about just having that new car that really wears off really fast. We only have a couple minutes left, Tony. What are you most proud of right now at Roma Molding?
I would say I'm most proud of our people. The people here make me want to jump out of bed every day. They make me want to push harder, and they make me want to, just go the extra level. I'm so proud of every single human being and what they've accomplished, what they're up to in their lives. I'm honored, and I'm honored to be part of such a great group of people who, despite whatever's in front of them, believe in challenging the status quo, believe that everything is truly possible. And let me tell you, when you're playing in an arena where you put those people all together, look out, because it's just, you can't but help feel that happiness and that drive and determination. It infuses, it becomes part of you, and that's what I'm most proud of, seeing what they are doing.
Yeah. And what I really, acknowledge you for, Tony, is your commitment to the people that surround you in your life. It's authentic, it's real. I've known you enough now that I know it's something that deeply at a core matters to you, and I really acknowledge you for that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to make sure that your vision that you've created gets out there, because we're recording this call. It's going to be on YouTube. More and more people will see it in the future. When you were talking with me a couple of weeks ago, Tony, you told me about the Zappos story, and I said, I think you're really building the Zappos of Canada. Would you say that? And you said, yeah, you could call it that. But Andrew, you want to know what my real vision and goal is? And I said, what's that, Tony? And you said, I want to build the happiest company in Canada. And I want to make sure that gets out there. And do you want to speak into that at all, Tony, and really share what the bigger vision is with Roma Molding and supporting other companies to do the same?
Yeah, the high order bid here is really to blur the lines between work and play, and we mean it. When we walk in this office, I have to pinch myself. I don't know if I'm working or I'm playing, and I believe as an individual that going to work, going to work and having fun should be a right and not a privilege. And I know all our team here is working hard to build the happiest company in Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm so committed, and I know our team is, and I can see it and taste it and feel it. And when that's complete, we're hoping to take what we've done and really infuse that in other companies. Because imagine, Andrew, the world we'd live in if everybody went to work happy. We would have happier marriages, we would have happier children, we would have happier communities, and then just imagine what happens from there. I mean, it just continues to spawn, and that's really the high order bid.
I completely love it. I'm enrolled by it, and in any way possible, I'm here, and I know the TBK Creative team as well, Tony, is here to help you and your great team fulfill on that vision and mission.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So from here, is there any last words that you want to share with anybody? And please, for sure, tell everybody where they can reach Roma Molding, socially, with your Twitter, Facebook, your website, and stuff.
Sure. I mean, today with social media, it's very easy. If you want to see what we're doing on Facebook, you can follow us at Facebook/Roma Molding, and you can see all the neat things we do there, and really an insight into our many videos, and you can see some of the Nerf fights and wars that we have there, which are really a blast. You can follow us on Twitter. which is again Roma Molding, and or feel free to come in and take a tour of our facility if you're interested in seeing what we're doing and would like to see it firsthand. We actually are open for tours where you can call and make an appointment, and we'd love to show you our facility. And if lastly, I can just note to any business leader is we're committed to changing the world. We're committing to make it a better place, a happier place. And if we can help in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out, and we'll do our part to help you.
Yeah, yeah, and I know with the vision that your team's created, that's very possible, and it's possible with anybody listening in on this call as well. I think that's one of the messages that I'm really taking away from the conversation today. This call is recorded. I want everyone to know that. Again, it's going to be up on YouTube, and it's just one of those calls that you want to share with other business leaders in your life as well. So I really encourage people to do that once this gets out there in public on the web. I think it's one of those really important messages that we want to get across, especially with all the negative conversation that's going on here in North America around the economy. Let's not pay attention to it. Let's really stand for what's possible, and let's go and create our future. Tony, thank you so much for being here.
It's been my pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, all the leaders on this call. You're great people, and I acknowledge you for taking the time to really listen in and really standing for your own business success and growth. Have a great day, everyone.